The Strait of Dover is the busiest international seaway in the world. It's regularly used by more than 400 commercial vessels daily. This has made safety a critical issue, with Her Majesty's Coastguard maintaining a 24-hour watch over the strait and enforcing a strict regime of shipping lanes. In addition to the intensive east-west traffic, the strait is crisscrossed from north to south by ferries. Until the 1990s, these provided the only ground-based route for passengers and freight to cross it. In 1978, the Coast Guard officially moved to Dover with the opening of the new operations centre. Here, while still dedicated to search and rescue, one of their main duties is safely navigating vessels through the channel.
We actually watch keep, so we're shift workers, and we do 12-hour shifts, commencing at 8 o'clock in the morning and finishing at 8 o'clock in the evening. We do 2-day shifts, followed by 2 night shifts, so again 12-hour night shifts. So in the 4 days we do a 48-hour week as such. We do get breaks. We get an hour and a half meal break in that 12 hours, and also there's different positions in the operations room which we rotate every 2 hours, so we don't get to sit at the same desk doing the same job for the whole 12 hours.
A vessel calling Dover Coast Guard. Your call sign and your position, please, sir. Feeling you might be up here.
Call sign 3 Eco Kilo Charlie 4. My position 51 degrees 18 north, 001 degrees 51 N.
So you're not actually showing up, I believe, on our radar. Oh, correction, I have got you now, sir. We do have your details, your destination, Buenos Aires. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir. I give you already the destination. I will be informed to you that we are now passing the mid-Paul Boy.
Roger that, sir. We can see they're just coming up to the reporting line. Have a good watch, sir. Have a safe passage, and we'll see you next time. This is the reporting line. So North Forelands aerial, right the way across to the borders of France and Belgium. When the vessels pass this, it's a mandatory reporting line. They have to call in. If they don't, they can get charged for not calling in, cost them a few grand. And the other thing that costs them a lot of money is if somebody actually comes up the wrong way. So this is like a one-way street, like a normal one-way street. If they come up this way, anything up to sort of £50,000 fine and a loss of licence for a year, which we'll impose. French do the same thing on the other side.
002 degrees, 09.4 minutes east. Approximate track is 022 degrees.
Coast Guard Rescue. Yes. On the cliff at St Margaret's. And how many persons are stuck? And can you tell me the age group? Are there any injuries? Yes, if you stay by the cliff house there, and one of our Coast Guards will be along shortly to come and speak to you, and you can guide him to where you've seen these people trapped by the tide. Okay, Mr. Smith, many thanks for the call. I joined the Coast Guard mainly because I've been brought up with search and rescue since I was a very young age, nearly approximately 40 years now. My father was a Coast Guard in a little tiny village up in Norfolk, where he spent all his training, and being like his eldest son, I grew up alongside him. Due to government cutbacks, I couldn't get in the RAF, so I went to a diving school and became a commercial diver. Learned all about the sea and everything else, saved up some money, bought my own boat, done quite a lot of charter skippering with divers, and then a vacancy came up to become a watch officer at Dover, and I thought, yes, go for that. Rather than being bounced around on the waves, I'll go and sit in a nice big Coast Guard station watching other people being bounced around.
In order to keep up with safety regulations, the Coast Guard has training sessions on a regular basis.
This practice is done once a month. Everyone, different stations usually operate different ways, but our station here at Margate, we operate once a month training, usually for 2 to 3 hours. We will get all the cliff gear out, we will go through everything and we'll just brush up on what we need to know. What's going on here is we've just had a brand new introduction to new cliff lines, new cliff gear. It's to bring us in line with the way that the fire line rescue team and the police line rescue team work. So hopefully we'll all be singing off the same song sheet. We want to be as professional as we can when we go out to an incident, a casualty, to be able to operate. About 3 weeks ago, just down the coast here at Joss Bay, we had quite a big swell come in. Joss Bay is very well renowned with the local surfers. Unfortunately that day there was a big rip current and undercurrent and they were dragged round by the cliffs and we had to effect a full cliff rescue to bring 2 guys back up the cliff.
OK, talking about water, from Dover Coastguard this morning. Barry, hi. How's it going?
A very good morning to you.
I bet it's cold down there this morning, isn't it? The wind whipping in off the sea.
It's not actually. It's
Oh, is it not?
absolutely,
It's all right.
it's absolutely glorious. We've got a fantastic sunrise coming up at the moment, and it looks absolutely stunning.
You paint a
Absolutely
really
stunning.
fantastic picture.
Updates on the weather conditions at sea and the latest news from Dover Coastguard are broadcasted weekday mornings.
It's inspiring.
When I first joined the Coast Guard as an auxiliary, you had hand-me-down overalls, second-hand welly boots, and a radio that really was not much better than a child's walkie-talkie. Now we have fully equipped 4x4 vehicles, our own uniforms, the latest up-to-date gear, modern technology, and we really are the eyes and ears of the Coast Guard.
Before the 1970s, the Coast Guard operated outside of Dover, with stations located at Deal and Kingsdown.
Here's a photograph of the Coast Guard station at Deal. It looks like it's around about 1955 to the 1960 period. Just beside the station, the new Coast Guard houses was where I grew up from the age of 13 to the age of 16, where when we got my dad's promotion down to Dover, this was one of the Coast Guard houses that they put us in. Lovely backdrop of where you've got the original station officer's house, which in the old days would be the chief officer's house. Beside the new station that's built there is the old watchtower, where it was sort of like blended into the background of all the local houses, so anybody smuggling would not get the impression that someone was there watching them. How I see the future of the Coast Guard? Well, if we have a Coast Guard station that catches fire and cannot be used at the tip of Scotland, we can actually use all their aerials, all their mapping system on one desk in our ops room and actually run that Coast Guard station from one position. 5 years' time, we'll probably be able to do the same with less amount of Coast Guard stations, and probably in 20 years' time there'll be no Coast Guard stations as such on the coast, but one big central one probably in London or down at Southampton where our headquarters is, and probably 10 Coast Guards in each ops room running every single Coast Guard remote site all around the UK.
I can see us going the American way, where we would lose our identity a little bit. Now in the States you have the firemen go out and rescue boats, the ambulance men are the same as the firemen. They all come under one umbrella as a rescue unit. So the chances are now that if you have a heart attack, the first vehicle there will be a fire engine car with true trained paramedics in it, because it's practical, because it works. And I can see us becoming involved in that envelope, and perhaps will be a combined operation. We will still do search and rescue. I just think that it will become more varied and go from strength to strength.